Let me tell you something that most people never understand about being ignored. The moment you stop trying to force someone to notice you is often the moment they start noticing you the most. If he has been distant, slow to respond, suddenly cold, or acting like your presence no longer matters, your first instinct might be to reach out again. You want answers. You want reassurance. You want to know what changed. So you send another message. You check whether he is online. You wonder why he saw your message but did not respond. You start asking yourself what you did wrong. But what if the biggest mistake is not what you did before he ignored you? What if the biggest mistake is what you do after he ignores you? Because when someone pulls away, you have a choice. You can chase their attention or you can reclaim your own. And there is something powerful about a woman who refuses to beg for the attention she deserves. You don't need to send another paragraph explaining your feelings. You don't need to ask, "Are you okay?" 5 different ways. You don't need to create an excuse just to start another conversation. And you definitely don't need to prove your worth to someone who has temporarily decided not to recognize it. Do this once. Step back. Not as a game. Not to manipulate him. Not because you want revenge. Step back because your peace is more valuable than your need for an immediate answer. The moment you stop chasing clarity from someone who is creating confusion, something changes inside you. You begin to see the situation differently. You realize that his silence is information, his distance is information, his lack of effort is information, and information gives you power. See, when you constantly reach out to someone who is pulling away, you remove the opportunity for them to feel your absence. They know you'll always be there. They know you'll send the next message. They know you'll keep the conversation alive, even when they stop contributing to it. And when someone becomes certain that you will always chase them, they have very little reason to chase you. But when you become comfortable enough to say, "If you want me in your life, you know where to find me," your entire energy changes. You are no longer asking to be chosen. You are choosing yourself. And that is where your power begins. Think about it. The woman who keeps asking, "Why aren't you giving me attention?" is focused on getting attention. The woman who says nothing, continues living, continues growing, continues smiling, continues pursuing her own purpose. That woman becomes impossible to ignore because now her life does not revolve around whether he responds. She has a life beyond the phone. She has goals beyond the relationship. She has confidence beyond his validation. And confidence is attractive because it communicates something without saying a word. "I want you, but I don't need you to know my worth." That's a completely different message. You have to understand the difference between loving someone and losing yourself trying to keep them. Love should never require you to abandon your dignity. If he ignores you once, don't panic. People get busy. People have bad days. People have responsibilities. One moment of distance does not automatically mean the relationship is over. But if ignoring you becomes a pattern, don't keep pretending you don't see it. Parts speak louder than promises. And this is where many people make the mistake. They become addicted to the explanation instead of paying attention to the behavior. They say, "Maybe he's stressed. Maybe. Maybe he's busy. Maybe. Maybe something happened. Maybe." But eventually, you have to stop building an entire relationship around possibilities and start looking at reality. If someone wants to communicate with you, they will find a way to communicate. If someone values your presence, you won't constantly have to convince them that you deserve a place in their life. And if someone needs space, give them space. Sometimes the strongest response to distance is not more words. It's silence. Not angry silence, not childish silence. Peaceful silence. The kind of silence that says, "I'm not going to compete for attention." Because when you stop chasing, you create something that chasing could never create. Space. And space allows people to recognize what they were taking for granted. When you're constantly available, your presence can become background noise. But when you step back and become focused on your own life, your absence becomes noticeable. Suddenly, he may wonder where you are. Why aren't you checking on him? Why aren't you sending that morning message? Why isn't your name appearing on his screen? Why aren't you trying to fix the distance? And that's when he may begin to feel the difference between having your attention and not having it. But here's the most important part. You cannot step back just to make him come back. If you do that, you're still making your life about him. You need to step back because you finally understand that your attention is valuable. Your time is valuable. Your emotional energy is valuable. Your heart is valuable. And not everybody gets unlimited access to something valuable. Stop treating your attention like it has no price. You don't owe everyone an immediate response. You don't owe everyone an explanation. You don't owe someone unlimited chances to disregard you. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is become unavailable for disrespect. And I'm not telling you to become cold. Don't become bitter. Don't stop loving. Don't start playing games. Just become wiser. There is a difference between being loving and being desperate. There is a difference between being patient and tolerating disrespect. There is a difference between giving someone another chance and giving someone permission to repeatedly hurt you. You have to learn that difference, because the wrong person will make you question whether you are enough. The right person will make you grateful that you never settle for less. So if he is ignoring you right now, don't immediately assume you need to do something. Maybe the thing you need to do is nothing. Put the phone down, take a breath, go outside, work on your goals, take care of yourself, talk to people who genuinely love you, build something, learn something, pray, reflect, get your mind back, because every minute you spend staring at your phone waiting for him is a minute you could have spent becoming stronger. And here's the truth you need to hear. You cannot control whether he comes back, but you can control who you become while he is gone. If he comes back, let him come back to a woman who has grown. If he reaches out, don't immediately throw away all your boundaries because you're relieved to see his name. Watch his actions. Listen to his words. Look for consistency, because attention is not the same thing as intention. A message is not commitment. A hey is not an apology. A late night conversation is not proof of changed behavior. Don't confuse temporary attention with genuine effort. If he comes back, let him show you why he deserves access to you again. You don't have to punish him. You don't have to make him jealous. You don't have to pretend you don't care. Just don't abandon yourself because you're afraid he might leave. That fear is what makes people chase. And chasing someone who is walking away only teaches them that they can walk away and still make you run after them. You deserve better than that. You deserve someone who doesn't make you constantly question where you stand. You deserve communications. You deserve effort. You deserve consistency. And most importantly, you deserve to know that your value does not rise or fall based on one person's attention. So do this once. Step back, be still. Let the silence speak. And while the silence is speaking, listen to yourself, because maybe the question isn't, how do I make him notice me again? Maybe the real question is, why did I ever stop noticing myself? That question can change everything, because the woman who finds herself again doesn't chase the person who ignored her. She becomes so focused on becoming the strongest, healthiest, most confident version of herself that she no longer needs anyone's attention to feel valuable. And sometimes that transformation is exactly what makes someone realize what they lost. But even if he never realizes it, you still win because you got yourself back. And there is nothing more powerful than that. Now let's go deeper, because this is where most people lose their power. They finally decide to stop chasing, but they don't actually stop chasing. They stop sending messages, but they spend the entire day thinking about whether he noticed. They stop calling, but they keep checking his social media. They stop asking where he is, but they ask their friends whether he has mentioned them. That's not detachment. That's waiting. And waiting still gives him control over your emotions. Real detachment begins when his behavior no longer determines the quality of your day. If he texts, you're happy. If he doesn't, you're still happy. If he watches your story, you're excited. If he doesn't, you're still moving forward. If he comes closer, you appreciate it. If he walks away, you don't collapse. That's emotional strength, and you need to understand something. Your goal should never be to make a man afraid of losing you. Your goal should be to become a woman who is not afraid of losing someone who refuses to value her. That's a completely different mindset. When you have that mindset, you stop negotiating against yourself. You stop accepting breadcrumbs because you're hungry for attention. You stop celebrating the bare minimum. You stop thinking that one good conversation erases weeks of inconsistency. You start watching patterns, and patterns reveal character. Anybody can be charming for a day. Anybody can say the right words when they feel lonely. Anybody can suddenly become affectionate when they sense you're moving away. But consistency tells the real story. So if he comes back after ignoring you, don't rush to reward him simply because he returned. Ask yourself what changed. Did his behavior change? Did his communication change? Did his effort change? Did his respect for you change? Or did he simply notice that you stopped chasing him? Those are not the same thing. Sometimes people don't miss you. They miss the attention you gave them. And if you don't understand that distinction, you can fall into the same cycle again. He disappears. You chase. He comes back. You forgive everything. He gets comfortable. He disappears again. And the cycle repeats. You have to break the cycle, not with anger, with standards. Standards are not walls. Standards are the rules that protect your peace. When you have standards, you don't have to threaten anybody. You simply observe. You don't say, if you do that again, I'm leaving. You simply know what you will and will not accept. That's maturity. And there's another thing you need to stop doing. Stop trying to make him jealous. Don't suddenly post pictures with other men just because you want him to react. Don't create fake happiness just to get a response. Don't post indirect quotes hoping he'll think they're about him. Don't turn your life into a performance for one person. Live your life for yourself. If you're happy, be happy. If you're growing, keep growing. If you're going out, enjoy yourself. If you're working on your dreams, work harder. But don't do any of it to get a reaction. Because the moment you start performing for his attention, you're still emotionally attached to his response. Real power is when you don't care whether he sees it. You're living because that's who you are. And believe me, there is something different about a person who genuinely has a life. You can feel it. They don't need to constantly prove they are desirable. They don't need to constantly announce how happy they are. Their confidence speaks before they say a word. And that's the energy you need. You need to become the person who can walk into a room without needing anyone to validate her presence. The person who can sit alone without feeling lonely. The person who can love deeply without losing herself. The person who can say, I care about you, but I also care about me. That's the balance. And when you reach that balance, you stop asking, how can I make him come back? Instead, you ask, if he comes back, does he deserve a place in my life? That's a much stronger question because not every return deserves access. Sometimes people come back because they finally realize your value. Sometimes they come back because they are lonely. Sometimes they come back because someone else didn't work out. Sometimes they come back because they miss the comfort you provided. And sometimes they genuinely come back because they understand that they handled you wrong. Your job is not to guess which one it is. Your job is to watch. Let time reveal the truth. Time exposes intentions. If he is serious, consistency will eventually show it. If he is playing games, inconsistency will eventually reveal it. You don't have to interrogate him. You don't have to investigate every move. You don't have to become a detective. Just pay attention. And while you're paying attention to him, don't forget to pay attention to yourself. Ask yourself why his silence affected you so deeply. Was it because you genuinely loved him? Or was it because his attention made you feel valuable? Those are two different things. If your self-worth depends on someone else's attention, every relationship becomes emotionally dangerous because the moment they pull away, your confidence disappears with them. You have to build an identity that exists outside of romance. Your dreams matter. Your friendships matter. Your family matters. Your health matters. Your purpose matters. Your peace matters. Your relationship with yourself matters. A man should be part of your life. He should not become your entire life. Because when someone becomes your entire world, you start accepting things you never would have accepted before. You tolerate disrespect because you're afraid of losing them. You excuse inconsistency because you're afraid of starting over. You stay silent about your needs because you're afraid they might leave. And eventually, you lose yourself while trying to keep someone else. Don't do that. Let people leave when they choose to leave. Your job is not to hold someone in your life who is determined to walk out. You can love someone and still let them go. You can miss someone and still refuse to chase them. You can care about someone and still choose yourself. That is not weakness. That is strength. And here's something else you need to understand. Silence is powerful only when it comes from self-respect. If you're silent because you're waiting for him to panic, you're still playing a game. If you're silent because you want revenge, you're still emotionally connected. But if you're silent because you've decided you're not going to beg for basic attention, that's different. That's dignity. That's peace. That's self-control. And self-control is one of the most attractive qualities you can develop, because when you can control your emotions, you stop allowing temporary feelings to make permanent decisions. You don't send the angry paragraph. You don't call at midnight because you're lonely. You don't demand answers when you're emotionally overwhelmed. You wait, you breathe, you think, and then you decide what protects your peace. Sometimes the strongest message you can send is no message at all. Not because you don't have something to say, but because you finally realized that not everything deserves your energy. Think about how much energy you've wasted trying to understand someone who could simply communicate. How many nights have you spent analyzing a text? How many times have you replayed a conversation? How many times have you asked yourself what you did wrong? Stop. You don't have to solve every mystery. Sometimes the answer is simply that someone is not capable of giving you what you need. And that's not necessarily an insult to you. It's information. When you understand that, rejection becomes redirection. A closed door becomes protection. A delayed response becomes an opportunity to stop waiting. And a person walking away becomes an opportunity to walk toward yourself. That's the transformation. You stop seeing his distance as proof that you're not enough. You start seeing it as a chance to discover what you are capable of without his attention. And when you discover that, something changes. You become calmer. You become stronger. You become less reactive. You stop begging. You stop explaining. You stop chasing, and you start living. That's when people notice, not because you manipulated them, but because you finally stop making yourself small enough to fit inside their lack of effort. Remember this, the right person doesn't need to be chased into caring. The right person may have flaws. The right person may make mistakes. The right person may need space, but they will still communicate. They will still make an effort. They will still care about how their actions affect you. And if someone consistently makes you feel like you're asking for too much when you're only asking for basic respect, don't shrink your needs. Find someone who appreciates them. Your standards should not be lowered simply because someone is unwilling to meet them. So if he ignored you, let him have the silence he created. Don't rush to fill it. Use that silence to rebuild your confidence. Use it to remember who you were before his attention became important. Use it to reconnect with your purpose. And if he notices your absence, let him notice. If he reaches out, let him reach out. If he comes back, let his actions speak. But you, keep moving, because your life is too valuable to pause every time someone decides to press the distance button. And one day, you'll look back and realize something powerful. You weren't trying to get his attention anymore. You were building a life so meaningful that you no longer needed it. And that is when you truly become free. And now you understand the real lesson. This was never about learning how to make a man chase you. It was about learning how to stop chasing someone who has already shown you that they are willing to let you run after them. Because the strongest version of you doesn't spend her life asking, how do I get him to notice me? She asks, why am I giving so much attention to someone who isn't giving me the same effort? That question changes everything. When he ignores you, don't immediately assume you lost. Sometimes distance is not a loss. Sometimes distance is a revelation. It reveals who was genuinely interested and who was simply comfortable with your constant availability. It reveals who values you and who values the attention you provide. It reveals who misses you and who only misses what you did for them. And sometimes it reveals something about yourself. It shows you how much of your happiness you had placed in somebody else's hands. Take that happiness back. Take your confidence back. Take your peace back. You don't need to become cold to become strong. You don't need to stop caring. You simply need to stop abandoning yourself every time someone else pulls away. If he needs space, give him space. If he wants distance, respect the distance. If he doesn't respond, don't chase the response. And if he returns, don't immediately forget everything that happened just because you missed him. Let him earn his way back into your trust. Because missing someone is not a reason to ignore your standards. Loneliness is not a reason to accept inconsistency. Chemistry is not a reason to tolerate disrespect. And love is never supposed to require you to destroy your self-respect. You have to understand that your attention is a gift. Your time is a gift. Your emotional availability is a gift. Don't give those things endlessly to someone who treats them like they're guaranteed. People often value what they realize they can lose. But here's the part nobody talks about. You don't have to become less available to make someone value you. You have to become more valuable to yourself. That's the difference. When you value yourself, you don't have to announce it. You demonstrate it through your decisions. You don't chase someone who consistently walks away. You don't beg someone to communicate. You don't compete with another person for basic attention. You don't stay in situations that constantly make you question your worth. You don't spend every night trying to decode somebody's silence. You simply observe and decide. And sometimes the decision is to stay. Sometimes the decision is to communicate. Sometimes the decision is to forgive. And sometimes the decision is to let go. But whatever decision you make it from strength instead of fear. Fear says, what if I lose him? Strength says, what if I lose myself? Fear says, what if he never comes back? Strength says, what if I finally move forward? Fear says, maybe I should send one more message. Strength says, I've already made my effort. Fear says, maybe I'm not enough. Strength says, the right person won't require me to prove my worth. That's the mindset you need. Because when your mindset changes, your behavior changes. And when your behavior changes, your entire life begins to change. You stop reacting. You start responding. You stop chasing. You start choosing. You stop waiting. You start living. And that is the transformation. So if he ignored you, don't spend your next 7 days wondering what he's doing. Spend those 7 days becoming someone you are proud of. Wake up and take care of yourself. Work on something meaningful. Move your body. Improve your appearance because you love yourself, not because you want him to notice. Spend time with people who make you feel alive. Log in. Dream again. Set goals again. Do the things you stopped doing because you were too busy thinking about him. And every time your mind says, maybe I should reach out, remind yourself, if he wanted to communicate, he knows how to reach me. You don't have to chase an adult into a conversation. You don't have to force someone to recognize your existence. And you don't have to convince anyone that you are worth choosing. Let your absence reveal what your presence was worth. If he notices, good. If he doesn't, you still have your answer. That's the beauty of this mindset. You win either way. If he comes back with genuine effort, you get the opportunity to decide whether you still want him. If he doesn't come back, you get the opportunity to move towards someone who will never make you beg for attention. Either way, you stop losing yourself. And that is the victory. There will be moments when you miss him. Don't be ashamed of that. Missing someone doesn't mean you should return to them. You can miss someone and still know they aren't good for your peace. You can remember the good times without pretending the bad times didn't happen. You can love the memories without reopening the door. That's emotional maturity. You don't have to hate someone to move on. Sometimes you simply have to accept that what you wanted from them is not what they were able or willing to give. And acceptance is powerful because once you accept reality, you stop fighting it. You stop trying to turn silence into affection. You stop turning inconsistency into commitment. You stop turning potential into a relationship. You start seeing people as they are, not as you hope they will become. That's when your standards become clear. And when your standards become clear, your choices become easier. So if he reaches out after ignoring you, don't respond from excitement. Respond from clarity. You don't have to punish him. You don't have to act rude. You don't have to pretend you're too busy. Just be calm. Let the conversation unfold. Listen, observe, and ask yourself whether his actions now match the relationship you want. Because your future should not be built on someone's temporary change of mood. You need consistency. You need honesty. You need respect. You need effort. And you need peace. If he can provide those things, then maybe there's something worth rebuilding. If he can't, then don't be afraid to close the door. A closed door is not always heartbreak. Sometimes it's freedom. And remember this, you were valuable before he noticed you. You were valuable while he was talking to you. You are valuable while he is ignoring you. And you will still be valuable if he never comes back. His attention never created your worth. So his absence cannot destroy it. That's the message you need to carry with you. You are not waiting to be chosen. You are choosing. You are not begging to be loved. You are learning to love yourself correctly. You are not chasing someone's attention. You are protecting your energy, and you are not becoming cold. You are becoming clear about what you want, clear about what you deserve, clear about what you will no longer tolerate, clear about the kind of love you are willing to accept. Because once you become clear, confusion loses its power. And when you stop chasing, you may notice something unexpected. You may discover that the attention you were desperately trying to get from him was never the thing you actually needed. What you needed was peace. You needed confidence. You needed certainty within yourself. You needed to remember that your life is bigger than one person's decision to respond. And once you remember that, you become difficult to manipulate. You become difficult to break. You become difficult to replace. Not because you are trying to prove you're better than anyone else, but because you have become deeply rooted in who you are. That's the woman you should become. The woman who can love without losing herself. The woman who can walk away without bitterness. The woman who can forgive without forgetting her standards. The woman who can give someone another chance without giving them unlimited chances. The woman who knows that silence doesn't scare her. Distance doesn't destroy her. Rejection doesn't define her. And somebody else's inability to recognize her value doesn't reduce it. So let him have his space. Let him have his silence. Let him decide what he wants. But don't sit around waiting for his decision. Make your own. Choose yourself. Choose your peace. Choose your purpose. Choose your future. And if one day he looks around and realizes that the woman who used to chase his attention is no longer chasing anyone, let that realization be his. You don't need to explain your transformation. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove anything. Your life will speak for you. Your confidence will speak for you. Your peace will speak for you. Your standards will speak for you. And if he comes back, you'll be able to look at him from a completely different place, not from desperation, not from fear, not from loneliness, but from strength. And you'll finally understand that the goal was never to make him come back. The goal was to become the kind of woman who doesn't lose herself when someone walks away. That's the real power. That's the real confidence. That's the real transformation. So the next time someone ignores you, remember, don't chase, don't beg, don't panic, don't create games, don't try to force attention. Step back, breathe live, grow, and let people's actions reveal their intentions. Because the right person will not require you to destroy your peace just to keep their attention. And the moment you truly believe that, everything changes. You stop asking, what can I do to make him want me? And you start saying, what kind of love do I want for myself? That is the question that changes your life. Because you deserve a love that doesn't leave you constantly guessing. You deserve communication that doesn't make you beg. You deserve effort that doesn't disappear when things become inconvenient. You deserve someone who sees your value without needing to lose you first. And until that person comes along, don't settle for someone who only remembers your value when you stop giving them access to you. Keep your heart open. Keep your standards high. Keep your dignity intact. And most importantly, keep moving forward, because sometimes the person who ignored you was not the person you were supposed to chase. Sometimes they were simply the lesson that taught you never to abandon yourself again. And once you learn that lesson, you don't need to chase anyone. You become the person who walks away from what doesn't serve her, stands confidently in her worth, and keeps moving toward a life that feels better than anything she was begging someone else to give her. That's where your power is, not in getting his attention back, and getting your own attention back. And once you finally see yourself again, you will never be willing to lose yourself just to be seen by somebody else.